So with me, I
Okay.
have our VP of Sales. Remember the lone wolf? I like calling you that. My dear friend Charlie Cervantes. How you doing, brother? You good?
I'm fine and I'm really good. I'm excited and happy to be here again. I do have some funny stuff and crazy stuff as always to share with you. So yeah, I
That's
think that it's going to
amazing.
be good.
That's fucking
And
awesome,
and
man.
and yes, I do have my beer.
Bro, that like explain to tell to the people that are listening or watching, where does that brand come from?
Well, this is actually Bolivian beer, premium based on quinoa, and it's a red ale beer. So yeah, it's really good. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name of the brand, but it's not that I'm sponsoring or gaining anything about it, but the name is Prost. It's made in Santa Cruz and it's awesome. I love it.
Nah, I love the fact that I always said that Bolivian beer has good quality beer. I have to admit
Yep.
that. For example, compared to like Finland or Honduras, other places, Bolivia has good quality beer, and this Prost is really good beer. I tried when I was there in La Paz. I tried the quinoa beer, the one that you're having.
Yeah, it's
It's
good.
really good,
Yeah,
very well
yeah.
made.
I know, and there is a full marketing team that goes behind that, and they started developing these stories about this German guy going to Potosi and then starting the whole company and everything. And of course, then they moved the factory to Santa Cruz. But yeah, it's good. The recipe is amazing. So yeah, it works.
Well, the recipe is available.
It's not available per se, but regarding the different type of beers that they're launching into the market, like IPA or this red ale, Weiss beer, and others, are really good. So yeah, they know their stuff, and I think that that's the key to either launching a product or promoting a service. If you know your shit, it's going to turn well, right? That's basically it.
Absolutely, man. Speaking of beer, like I'm embarking this new adventure to try to discover the tastiest non-alcoholic beer.
Okay, awesome.
So far I have found good ones. Like obviously like the big brands like Budweiser, Coors, like brands that we know. They have attempted to make their own non-alcoholic beer. It's not the same. But I have this friend who is a brewmaster here in Finland, and he is a sober guy. He doesn't drink. It's an interesting contrast because he's a brewmaster, but he doesn't drink. But he loves his non-alcoholic beer, and he has sent me some pictures of some very interesting brands like I have never heard of, but like not from here, man, from Germany, Czech Republic. That and also like uh, lager, IPA, and all those type of uh, types of beer, but in
Right.
non-alcoholic. So definitely, I'm in that. I want to find the tastiest one for me because I still love the taste of beer. Now with the summer that is so hot, having a nice cold beer down your throat, it feels good.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I think that the same thing happens with me with cigarettes. I quit smoking like I don't know. It's going to be over 20 years already. But I still love the smell. In opposition of what other people are saying, right? That you say, no, I quit smoking and now I hate it, and I don't do.
Yeah,
I can understand why people is still doing that, and now the young people is starting to smoke, and at the end, I think that we all become haters, and whatever works for you, okay. If you don't like it, perfect. If you have other people doing it, it's their problem, right? So I think that we turn to be really judgmental whenever we're trying to say that something worked for us and it should be working for you. Everybody's different. So you do
but
have, right?
as much as I agree with you with that, I think that like the critique part is just part of human, I would not say human nature. Well, maybe it is part of human nature. We tend to critique and talk about things that we really do not understand. And we tend to stigmatize things that we think are wrong in our mind or in society, but we're completely wrong about it. Like if a person is successful in our culture, we tend to critique that person as opposed to praising that person's achievements. If a
Right.
person like me, if a person smokes weed, like the grand majority of the community, yeah, it's like that. It's like, oh my god, he needs help.
Yeah.
You're gonna throw your life where you're gonna throw your life, and everything. Like it's. I think it's in our nature because I say it's in our nature, including myself. I am there. Like some things that I don't understand, I critique them. But the difference is that with me, for example, sometimes I do take a step back and I try to analyze the situation. But the only reason why I'm able to do that is because I have been pretty much accused, pointed the finger at, talked about in so many bad ways because of the things that I used to do and some things I still doing with. Like for example, I enjoy my weed and stuff like that. But
Right.
people don't ask why. They ask why of the addiction, if it would be an addiction, or why of this. No, they will ask why of the substance, but they don't ask why of the problem, right?
True. And I think that everything that you said opens so many doors, right? The first thing is, of course, when we deal with human nature per se, is actually whenever you are talking about your
Ego.
and one of the key things that I was actually exploring today, just to getting some stuff that we could start discussing in this podcast. I was listening to an audiobook that is called Satan. And yeah, there is a whole misconception on how we deal and we manage with the devil, right? The devil is the one that is making me do things or making me commit crimes, bad decisions, robbery, rape, and so other things, right? But within this audiobook, there is actually an autobiography of the devil itself. He says that, of course, ego is dash Satan is in all of us. And he has a role that was, of course, defined by God to put every challenge possible for us to actually turn the bad way. And whenever we have our free will and we have the right choices also in front of us, whenever we're making those right choices, we we convert energies, we change the universe, we cause direct impact in society, in our families. So it's really interesting on how that works. But everything starts with that tiny little voice inside of you that sometimes says, "Do it." Right? And whenever
Well,
you're doing that thing, so and just to do another linking into that specific side of the story, is that we most of the times we take things personally. You're talking about criticism and how everybody's being everybody tries to judge you because they don't understand where you're coming from, why you're doing specific things, why you're smoking weed, why I'm drinking beer right now, and things like that. But at the same time, it's just a matter of you taking that and those things personally, or just letting things go and understanding where those thoughts or the things that are actually coming your way, why are they are being there in that type of position, or on the other side, if you just need to take a look at yourself at the same time and understanding and just placing a mirror and saying, okay, this is something that I should be more thoughtful. I should be thinking on, should I smoke this amount of weed this day? It is enough. It is necessary. And at the same time, it's just a matter of understanding things on what works for you and what you need to do in order to keep yourself happy.
Yeah, I completely agree until a certain point. But let's go back a little bit. Let's say to this book that you're talking about, Satan, right? That was the name of it.
Yep.
I think that's part of our adventures in life, that has to do with our growth as a person, with our being strong, facing those adversities, those moments of badness, you might say. You know, it's kind of like the yin yang, right? Like the yin yang, you can interpret it as life, as the world, or as an individual. If we interpret it as an individual, it's kind of like you have good in you, but you have a little bit bad. You have bad in
Yep.
you, but you have a little bit good. It balances out. But it's up to you to know what is good or bad. Now, I don't think it's up to society. Society has messed up ways of thinking and preaching you what is bad, you know, because like you said, like you drinking beer at this time, me smoking weed at this time, talking to you in this podcast or whatever, right? We can ask ourselves, is this good? Is this the right amount? Do I need it? You know? But for example, like that is all also revolving around the addiction. An
Yep.
addict, an addict doesn't want, like say an alcoholic doesn't want to be drunk all the time. They want to just have that feeling that alcohol makes them have, makes them feel at that moment. Because an addict, they go to that substance to find that feeling that they're missing, whether it's happiness, whether it's euphoria, whether it's contact with another human being, whatever, you know, that substance, whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed, heroin, I don't know. If it gives you that feeling, that's what you're gonna be seeking all the time because the real world doesn't give you that feeling. So
That is,
you
yeah,
go out of your way in so many times to get the substance that gives you that feeling, right?
I completely understand that. And that also is one of the things that I have been working actively for the past months on doing a special therapy to deal with trauma and with yeah, with really toxic things that I went through when I was a child. And the key thing of understanding that is defining that emotions are a temporary experience.
Hmm.
Either if you're having a joint, you're having a beer, or you're having way too many beers just to make yourself happy, you need to understand where happiness comes from. And it's not about being right and saying, yes, because of the alcohol, I feel more easygoing. I get to connect better with people. I tend to be more fluent when I'm doing my podcasts or things like that, right? But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that you can generate those feelings inside of you by your own. So, and
but but
that's
but,
because of the mindset.
exactly, that's the thing though. But like an addict is a broken individual. Addict does
That is
not
right.
have the knowledge or the strength to reach that mindset.
But the good thing is that if you reprogram those feelings, those post traumatic stress disorders that you have from early stages in your life, if you are able to change the patterns of how you react to specific things in order for you to make you happy, if you do those changes, then of course you even can have the capability of avoiding the addiction.
Completely agree. Yeah, that is true. There are, because addiction starts in pain and ends in pain, right? Okay, it's not like it's
Yes.
you get that easy fix. And going back to our childhood, like you were mentioning, and correlating what I mean, connecting what I was mentioning. about that like an addict seeks for that feeling that is deprived. That feeling is deprived in their childhood, right?
Absolutely.
So like it's like what happened to us in our childhood that deprived us of that feeling, not necessarily of a feeling, but of qualities as human beings, as individuals. That quality of being happy on your own, it's something that it should be in us, in our nature, but it's because it's not nurtured enough, or whatever happened or whatever trauma happened. It's just that certain people require, unfortunately requires an extra substance to get to that feeling of happiness, to try to feel that quality of happy. I'm happy right now, and I want to
Right.
be happy. I don't want to. If you think about it, at least me as an alcoholic, I definitely think of the times that I said to myself that I'm when I was already in euphoria and in my high, you might say, like shit, I don't need this. This is not for me. I don't want to be doing this. But what did I mean? That I don't want to be doing the alcohol. I don't want to be drinking. I don't want to be like, ugh. But I want to have that feeling. And at that moment in my life, I didn't know what other things could provide me that feeling. Well, I did know, but they were bad things. It was like fighting. Training was good. Training is a good thing. Training provided me that feeling. But the right things, like my family, my friends, and I'm like, no, it was alcohol. It was like bad stuff that provided me that feeling that I was lacking of. Right.
Right.
So if you are weak in mind, it's extremely. How can you teach a person who's weak in mind who's completely unaware of what's happening?
Well, I think that the most important thing there is asking the right questions and understanding that the solution is not out there; it's actually inside. It's on the inside, and
Exactly, I agree.
that's one of the things that I have been doing. Again, this past 2 months, I have been doing EMDR therapy. So this is and actually, and just to give you some background, because I'm
Please do.
going to yeah, I'm going to sound like I'm not, or something that is crazy, or a psychopath, or I don't know. But it's basically because of my childhood that I had really traumatic experiences when I was at school. I think that you remember from our last podcast that I was in a boys only school with 12 alpha males in a room
Yeah.
every
By the
single
way,
day.
shout out to
Yeah,
Domingo Savio.
that's right. That shout out, guys. Altanos 96 forever. So yeah, actually, those things that happened, and of course, the lack of explanation from either our parents or adults at that time, because the bullying definition wasn't around. It was like either you're tough or you're weak, and that's it, right?
Black and white.
So yeah, that's right, and it was quite straightforward whenever you need to defend yourself, to defend yourself, or whenever you need to attack. And because of that, actually, whenever I get criticism, whenever I get frustrated, I put myself in defense mode. And that can be so toxic whenever you're dealing with your family, because you're providing the wrong example. I used to yell a lot to my baby girls when I got frustrated. I used to do stupid stuff whenever I was arguing with my wife, and that's not cool. That's something that shouldn't happen, because if you want a family to grow together, you need to set the environment in the most peaceful, loving, and caring way possible, right? So for that, yes, I said, okay, I need to fix this because I'm hurting people around me, and I need to go to therapy. And thanks to a friend of mine, I found this therapy, and it's actually eye movement desensitization um, reprogramming. So
Eye
even
movement desensitization reprogramming.
Yeah, that's the name of the therapy. So it begins whenever you're doing some, of course, eye movement. You're moving your eyes from left to right, and at the same time, you're connecting with a traumatic experience or with a pain or bad feelings that you have either around your life, about thoughts, wrong thoughts about yourself, and whenever you're dealing with a lot of garbage that you're carrying for so many years. So you tackle one specific point, you start doing that eye movement, or you start doing some tapping in both sides of your body. And actually, Prince Harry is doing that. I don't know if you saw, he got an interview with Oprah, and he explained why he's doing that because he gets a lot of anxiety issues. And the key thing is really understanding that the problems start when you're a child, because you have a lot of gaps, and adults, they don't fill those gaps with the right explanations on why things have to go on a certain way. So whenever you are, let's say, touching the china jar that was a legacy from your great 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 grandmother, and you're breaking that, adults in some way they will say, okay, you're not being allowed to touch anything else ever, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have the explanation on why it has such sensitive content related to an object, and you don't understand. And the only thing that you receive from saying or from hearing no, 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 don't stop, don't touch that, don't do that, it's rejection. And that rejection can cause a lot of pain whenever you're growing older. Because if you're trying to do something that you think in your subconscious mind, you're thinking that you're going to fail or that you're going to break it, at the end, you won't do it. Or you're not going to put in the effort because you think that making a mistake will be against you, or that will be taken in consideration, and that you're not worth of doing things because you fail. I remember that
It,
one of the things that I had been treating, and one of the specific situations in my life, I had a go-kart type of thing. It was blue, it was beautiful, looked like those pedal car racing thingies. And I remember that I was in my father's house. I was doing a straight type of line, and I had grass on the right side of it, right? So I just mishandled the wheel, and I flipped over. And I had a lady that was at that time taking care of me and my brother, and she started laughing. So I got hurt. I stand up. I remember that I turned my back to her, and I sat down for 4.5 hours waiting for my parents to get to my house in rage because she wasn't understanding enough and because my parents weren't around to comfort me.
mm,
And that was trauma, because all the feelings that I had for hours was, why is not my mother around? Where is my father? Why is she laughing? She's not my family. And I wasn't able to handle that. And it can be a really simple thing like that that can hurt your feelings for years. So in the end, of course, whenever you're doing the therapy, you have both situations at the same time. You have your past facing your present, and in your present, of course, you have the capability and knowledge of talking to that child and saying, okay, your parents were working, you should have been more careful. And at the end of the day, it's not your fault. You're a kid. You're going to do those stupid things. It happens. You will fall. You will break your arm. You will fall down from the tree and things like that because you're a kid. Because those things happen. But if you
mm.
tie that to rage, to anger, it's a grudge that will grow inside of you if you are not allowing that energy to go away.
Correct. I agree It's so delicate, those situations, especially us as children, but like we cannot understand what's happening. We just feel the moment. We just feel that feeling. In your case, rage, and I guess a little bit confusion because of like, why are my parents here despite they were working or whatever,
Yeah.
right? It's just like reminds me, man. Every time that it requires think about that little boy who we were, it's so painful for me, bro. It's so to the point that I get emotional. It's just that little boy, my friend, was fucking beaten, like
Yeah.
emotionally and physically. It was horrible. And I remember when I came back to Finland, like 3 years ago,
Yep.
the state of mind I was before I came here. I was like negative. So my wife was like, "Hey, let's do this exercise. Let's do it together." Like, because I was also I was seeking therapy, but I since I just arrived to Finland, it's not that you can like I don't know where to go. Like I have to, therapy is not that you just go to the first therapist and that's your guy. No, you got to connect.
Yeah.
So I was without therapy at that time. So like my wife was like, okay, let's do this exercise. So we watched this video and it's connected to what you're saying, going back, going to your childhood traumas and everything. And the exercise of this lady, I'm sorry, I cannot say the name of this. I don't remember. I don't remember the whole thing. I just remember this exercise in particular. So the exercise of this lady is like close your eyes, uh, go to that place when you were a kid that you used to hang out all the time in the house or whatever. I was like, okay. So I picture myself in the room in Honduras, in my bedroom in Honduras, because that's the time, that's where I would spend most of my time in my bedroom because the outside of my bedroom was so fucking toxic. I was living in my grandparents' house. So my grandparents, both of them, were raging alcoholics. They would drink from morning to evening every day. And my grandfather was how do you say, aggressive alcoholic, right?
Oh, oh,
So and then my mom got into that habit as well. So it was me, the room, TV, and cable, like. So I picture myself there, and then the next following the next step, it says like, okay, picture yourself there, and then picture your your person as today, so that adult, and just go hug that boy. I don't know what happened. Broke down. Not in. Of course I started crying, but in the sense I couldn't breathe. I was like, I just couldn't. I had to get up, and my wife went after me. Calm down, calm down. It was so real and an emotional experience. Even I don't know if it was real. I don't know what the fuck. It's just I don't know what happened. I don't know. But made me feel that's when I started understanding fuck the little me is broken. Before that experience I had no idea of that. I thought like I was dealing with all these things that I'm dealing, depression, anxiety, and all that, because I was in a gang, because how my mother was at a certain age, not from that small.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then and then like let's say like you said like your experience with in Domingo Savio, you have like 12 alpha males. It's pretty much survival of the fittest, like and then
Yeah.
that reminded me like I was because all my life I've been in American schools. Thank God, I was very blessed and fortunate to be in American schools, right? And that like the people that might listen and say, okay, what's so good about that? What's good about is that in our society, and especially in the Latino culture, American school symbolizes status. Not
Yeah.
necessarily good education, but status, definitely status, right? So, like what I'm trying to say is that like I was in like okay high class environment and all that, but my grades were slipping, and my mom just said, "Hey, listen, if you're continuing with these grades, I'm going to send you to military school." And trust me, she did not say it in this calm way, as I'm telling you right now. And I was like so defying at that time, so I was like, "Yeah," to my mom. I was like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever, do what you gotta do." In my mind, she's never gonna. It was just a bluff. And to my big surprise, she sent me to military school. and it was a boarding school. I had to sleep there. And I was still a kid. I was like 11, 12 years old, you
All
know?
right.
And that was also survival of the fittest. You get all those guys there, like goddamn. And I was at that time in my life, I was not used to fighting. I was not to defend yourself. If somebody, I was used to somebody bothers you, you bother him back, and that's it. And you laugh about it, like, and then you look at each other. That's weird, and then you move on. But in this case, it was, oh my god, you had to deal with like the teasing constantly. When you sleep, they will tease you, especially if you're the new guy. And you know when they stop teasing me? When I don't know, one day I just snapped and bit the shit out of the. I still remember his name, Fabricio. And after that day, I just realized that the only thing that this will stop is just me not even standing up to myself per se, but just like fighting, 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 fighting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you said, it's that environment of the alphas and everything. Everybody wants to be like, hey, hey, like those fucking gorillas, ah, right? It was like that, man. To the point
Yeah.
that after a year, I begged my mom and I cried almost to my knees, literally. Please take me out of that school. I will study. I promise you. And okay, she did, and there, rest assured, I did study, bro. Fuck, that experience was tough.
I know, and whenever you're not processing those feelings and understanding that yes, it is in the past, it's something that you went through, and you, in some way, that you need to provide the positive pep talk to you, saying, okay, you're here now, you're doing this stuff, you survived, you're an awesome motherfucker, right? It's basically just providing those positive thoughts and understanding what happened in those situations. And it's so weird that whenever I started dealing with the stuff from school, um, I I was liberating myself and allowing myself to understand that yes, those were crazy times. We were just kids. We were trying to do our best with what we had. We had no control at all from our parents because they were working. So it was quite tough. But at the same time, I think that we also learned a lot, right? And if you're learning, then you are winning. That's the key thing that you need to understand. Basically, because that was something that you needed at that point in order to become the adult that you are now. Probably it could have been more easy, maybe, but it was there for a reason. It needed to happen that way. And understanding that and accepting that is a process. It's not something that you can do from the night to the next day.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah,
because it starts like first of all realizing that that was a trauma. It starts like acknowledging that, and then it starts the understanding, the analyzing right after that, and then the acceptance. You know, if you don't have the right source, contact, or friend, or partner, whatever behind you that helps you with that heal, you will never understand on your own. It's very difficult if you're a broken person. Most of us are. Most of us are broken in different ways, right? But it's hard to do it on your own. You need to have that support, whether it's someone, whether it's something. I don't know. For me,
yeah,
definitely, like the support of my wife was, first of all, it was unconditional. I was never used to that. I was always used from my parents. The thing that I was used is like conditional love. You will get that praise, you will get that hug, you will get that kiss, my baby boy, whatever, if you're a good boy. If you have good grades, if you behave good, if you eat your meal, if you do this, it's always under a condition. And I don't think I'm alone in this situation. I think, especially in our culture, it's a little bit like that. Obviously, in different levels, but that's the common denominator. You got to be good. You got to be good. You're always, at least I was always raised to the belief that you got to be busy because that's equal to productivity. If you're not doing something, then you're wasting your time. That's a trauma, man. Because until
Yeah.
today, I sometimes when I'm not doing it, man, I'm watching TV, I'm thinking, fuck, I should be doing something. I'm not able, my mind is not able to rest. Think about the majority of the workplaces in our country. You gotta be in the
Sure.
office and you gotta work in the office. And if you tell someone, let's say a superior, hey, I've been in the office until 12 p.m., immediately you get not necessarily a praise, but like a thumbs up. Okay, good. But bro, that doesn't mean that that person was productive for all those time that was in the office, you know.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I'm starting to understanding just now on my 35 years of age. Because before I have no idea, because that's how I was brought up. Therefore, I thought that was the right thing. I thought everybody had the same thing and everything. And I started discovering that it wasn't like that,
True.
you know. Like this conditional love that my parents gave me also, it's talks damaging you're all the time under pressure of performing well because you want to seek that validation.
That's completely true, and it's a cultural thing, man. Because first, that we are in Latin America, in specific, we are against the rich. And if
Yeah.
you are not placing the effort, as you were saying, being in the office, working 18 hours, and doing all the struggle in order to get successful, is not worth it, right? It's not something that you have earned. It's not something that you are that you should be taking, basically, because if everything got there for you, or if you receive everything on a silver plate, then yeah, it's because their family, it's because external situations, but he's not placing the effort, so he shouldn't have it, right?
Yeah.
And yes, the conditional love is something that we are used to, right? And also, I was making that thing to my girls, and it was crazy because I was actually seeing myself as my father or my mother, saying, yes, I love you, but you need to have good grades. I love you, but you need to be thoughtful of your sister. And at the end of the day, yeah, that's causing so much pain to them, because I remember having a conversation with my oldest girl, with Isabella, and she was saying to me, I can't be perfect. I can't be. I am who I am, and I'm doing my best. So whenever she was saying those words to me, I cracked down, because I was putting so much effort and expectations over a child, not understanding her and not being empathic with her, understanding what she's doing, why she's doing stuff, and also acknowledging that she's just a kid, right? And
Exactly.
from that day on, whenever we are having our prayers in the night and I'm getting her to bed, I always remind her that God gave me the option and the job of not only making her happy, but taking care of her and making her understand that I love her no matter what.
It's interesting that you use the word option. That's so interesting and powerful, I would say, because it is an option. And you choose to be a good father. You choose to be there for your baby
Right.
girls. You choose to be a good family man. It's an option. You know, that is so beautiful. It's crazy that a little girl told you that. A little girl
She's
who
turning
doesn't
9
have,
this year.
we're talking, just a child. She doesn't have understanding of life. She told you that she told you what she was feeling. Yeah, same with me, bro. It's a similar experience as well, because I was screaming at DJ, and then also with the conditional love shit. Like, and I remember one of the things when I was in Bolivia, when we were in Bolivia, you know how it is. We still like our, well, I don't know how it is in the school where your baby girls are at. I think it's a lot more advanced in terms of the education system. But in the school that DJ was in, it was still the same method of education. And you have this kid. DJ was what, like 6 years old, 7 years old,
Yeah.
something like that, and having homework until 8, 9 p.m. And he was so frustrated and everything. And I would demand that he will finish the homework because it was the right thing to do, and so I would scream and this and that. And one time he broke and he started to cry. He went to his room and he shut himself there. And that hurt me because in my mind I was like, hey man, I'm telling you to do something good for you to thrive. But the way I was executing, that was completely wrong. So I went to
That's right.
talk to him. I'm like, hey, baby boy, talk to me. What's up? And he screamed at me. You don't understand me. And in my mind, immediately, I was like, you're a kid. And then he said this. I am just a kid. I'm not you. He said that, man. And that also was like, fuck. I was like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I am sorry. I hugged him. And that also, that then I started understanding him and listening to him more.
True.
Because just because they're kids doesn't mean that they don't know. We sometimes think just because they're kids that they don't know, they're like unaware or oblivious to certain things. Bro, they know. We
They understand
know.
everything now, and yeah, they're
When we
so.
were kids, think about it. When we were kids, we knew certain things but we just kept to ourselves because we didn't understand what they meant. But we knew.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Hmm.
I remember myself when I was young, um, managing. I'm not sure what the name in English is, but this butterfly type of knife, you know,
La
mariposa.
mariposa. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So I taught myself how to manage that thing, watching some videos, and actually they were VHS videos. I'm old,
Ah,
yeah.
VHS.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was doing that to protect myself because I felt that, of course, yes, my parents were absent because they were working. There was nobody around me to take care of me. So it's either me or me. So I taught myself how to manage those things, how to fight with a belt, how to manage the situation where you could have like handcuffs or where you have your feet tied together, and understanding that you need to survive because the world is a fucking messed up thing. And you're a fucking kid. You shouldn't be having those thoughts. You shouldn't be thinking that everybody's going to rape you or to kidnap you or to just remove your kidneys and sell them on the black market. But it's something that at the same time happens. So how do you prepare your kids for a world that is messed up? And the only thing that I was actually um, doing now, that I'm doing now, and understanding not only where they are on an emotional level, but also is saying, okay, I'm here for you, and I will be here for you. Every time that you get into trouble, come to me first, because I will be the one helping you to solve it, or making you understand, or providing you with the tools you need in order for you to solve it yourself.
Exactly. Support.
Right? Support. That's I think the best thing that you can do now, because at the end of the day, you won't be able to control who they're dating, who they're hanging out with, and what they're doing, what substances might be around them, or anything, right?
Yeah,
So
you shouldn't control. You shouldn't control.
you
You
shouldn't
should
control.
educate. Educate. You know, you should
That's right.
educate
That's right.
because, like,
And providing,
please, please.
sorry, and just to provide some closure to that, is just providing them with the right options to understand what's wrong and what's right for them. Right.
What that you're talking about is so priceless. I want my one of the things I want to accomplish as a father is that I want my boys and my future little girl that is coming to know that Papa has their back.
Yeah,
To know that if they did something wrong, okay, Papa's gonna maybe whip my ass a little bit, but in the end of the day, he will help me resolve this. I want because I didn't have that, man, and I know how much not only a child, a teenager, even a young adult, and we need that support. We need that support. We need that backup. And if it comes from our parents, it's even more beautiful. You know,
that's
I
right.
didn't
That's right.
have like I remember like my dad was full of critiques towards me. My mom was all the time just passed out. But my mom was the person who created or implanted that fear of losing in me. You know, like when I go to a fight in a well, like I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not competing. But when I used to compete in kickboxing, I would not afraid, okay, he's gonna hit me. I'm gonna get hurt. I'm gonna get knocked out because well, have you been knocked out, Charlie? You were a brawler. Have you been knocked out?
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah,
It's not a nice feeling, man. It's not nice. You don't want to get knocked out again. Some people get afraid because of that. But I was not afraid of any of that. You know what I was afraid of? Losing. It might sound cheesy, but I was afraid of losing, but not because like I wanted to be the best, because I just didn't want to disappoint the people around me. Because my mother added so much pressure on me when I would lose, when I would compete, and when I would lose, she would put me down, man. She would put me down to the point that I started to lie every time I lost. It was, it was just horrible.
yeah. And actually, that's the problem that we all have. That we tend to comply with expectations of either our parents, our bosses, society, and everything, right? And at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's not about them. It's not about your last name. It's not about your efforts, and it's not about being right. It's about being happy. That's what you should be chasing every single day. And
Yeah, man.
if you have that mindset, then things can turn in a really positive way, not only for you, but of course it will affect your family, it will affect your kids, it will affect your grandchildren and everything. Basically, because you need to understand something. Your parents were like that, and mine's were in a specific way at the same time because of their parents.
Yes,
And it is a freaking circle that repeats. And actually, you do have the power of breaking those family habits and turning things around in a better way because you have enough.
absolutely. And trust me, I'm doing that, bro. You know,
Yeah,
like my parents never taught me how to be a parent. One thing that they did teach me is not to be like them. You
true.
know, I'm not repeating the same thing because, as you say, it's a cycle. It can turn into a cycle because right now I remember my father would be telling me that his father, my grandfather, was also a raging alcoholic, aggressive, and he would sometimes threaten my dad to his life because he didn't choose the career that his dad wanted or things like that. I know that the father of my mother, my grandfather from my mother's family, he also was a raging alcoholic and very aggressive. And he was the typical macho Latino man that because he's the provider, like nothing else has to be said. You know, he was like a womanizer and all that. So my mother grew up in that environment and she repeated that cycle. So like because trauma is also passed through generations. So
Completely.
that
Yeah,
trauma that she had, she passed it on to me, passed it on to my sibling, my older brothers and stuff like that. To the point, like my older brother, my older sister don't want to do anything with, don't want to have to do anything with my mother, unfortunately, right? But they don't understand this type of things. And to be honest, I cannot criticize them, because I myself, until today, I don't have a relationship with my mother. But that's another story. My point to this is that this trauma is passed on to generations. It's up to us to break that cycle. I feel that I am doing that. Thank the fucking Lord for that.
And I'm really proud of you actually understanding and coming to that state saying that I'm not going to repeat that and I won't do that to my family. And at the same time, and just going more mystical about these things is that we we are energy, right? This freaking bottle, this table, this chair, this Zoom connection, this cell phone, everything is energy. And whenever you have those blockers, like having a bad relationship with your father or your mother or your siblings, that affects how things should come your way. The universe is ready for you to take whatever you want, but it takes a lot of you to actually come to the right place and claiming those things from a positive, not only behavior, but at the same from a positive mindset. It's not forcing yourself for being positive. Yes, yes, I'm going to win the lottery.
That
That won't happen, right? That
won't
actually,
happen.
yeah, that won't happen. But at the same time, just doing the right stuff and the right things will become and will come in really beautiful things for your life and for your family. I strongly recommend that you try in some way not only to forgive your mother and your father, but also to let go things. I turned 42 this year, and for the first time in so many years, I was able to feel love for my parents again.
I mean, I commend you for that. That's beautiful. Like that's amazing. And I know it's right. I find it so at this point in time. I know it's not, but I find it impossible to make amends with them, have a relationship with them, especially my father. But I'm not saying that I won't stop trying. You know,
You
uh,
should.
like I am. I don't have right now contact with them, any type of relate. I don't no calls, no nothing. That's because of my choice. Uh, Forgive them, man. It's just it's such a powerful thing to do. Let go. Oh my God, that's hard. I know it heals the mind, it heals the soul. It's necessary. I'm carrying that weight. I know, and I've been carrying that weight for fucking years. And it's wearing me down. Trust me, it's wearing me down. It's just this thing with my parents, among other things, is something that I think about on a daily basis. Every day, it gets to me. But and like I said, I know it's necessary. It's just I'm not sure I cannot do it now. Like I hope and I wish I'm strong enough to do it at some point in the future. Just now it just seems such a impossible thing to do.
Dude, I
You know.
remember that whenever my mother was coming to me and trying to place her hand over my head just to caress me, I would do this. I will try to not getting even close to them. And at some point with COVID and everything, at the beginning when I was not doing therapy, I felt relief of not providing a hug to my mother. And that's also crazy, right? It's not something that you should be thinking of. It's not something that you should be doing. Even um, all the things that we went through with them failing as fathers, or actually one of the things that I got to understand in these years, and actually becoming a father, a family man, is that they're not there's not going to be a perfect parent per se, because every kid is different, situations are different now. We need to understand the exposure to technology, cyberbullying, new drugs that are coming into the market, into the streets, and those things can be so hurtful and can be so complex to handle that if you're not doing your actions from the loving and caring perspective, you will lose the freaking battle. You will lose. And it's not right for them, it's not right for you. And of course, I don't want to be an old guy watching an old TV in a retirement home without having any contact with my kids because
Hell
they
no.
hate me. Hell no, right?
No, no, no.
And I'm
You know,
I'm, I'm
like
turning
that.
this. Go ahead.
Mhm. No, please, please, please.
I I'm turning to the example of my father. Actually, my grandfather was a writer. He was an amazing person, but he was a womanizer as well. And because of that, he had 6 kids in different countries. He left my grandmother and my father when he was 13 or 12, I think. He had to start working to help my grandmother, and he missed a lot of what was supposed to be a healthy childhood, right? So he was, of course, receiving all these toxic messages from my grandmother saying, yes, he's abusive, he was useless, we don't need him, you shouldn't have contact with him. And those things went through the years. And when I remember when he was around 30 or 30 something, he said, it's not right that I'm not allowing myself to know who my father was and why he did those things. So I need to meet the guy. I don't need to meet the father, the role, right? I need to meet the guy and understand why he did that. And actually then they became best friends. And not only that, also he was able to connect with all of his brothers and sisters, and now they have a beautiful relationship. They travel from Brazil, from Argentina, from Peru to La Paz, and we have get-togethers, or we travel there and we visit them, and we have wonderful relationships, just defining and understanding that everybody's allowed to make mistakes and that forgiveness is something that is tough, but it has to be done.
Absolutely. Everybody, we're not perfect.
We're not. We're humans.
We exactly. We are humans. We are just humans, and it's unfair for other people to try make us seem that we are perfect, and when we fail, it's a bad thing. Failure is part of life. It's inevitable, right? You know, and it's so cool, like the experience that you just told me. But when you get that toxic parent who's still living that same life, who's still committing the same problems, the same mistakes, sorry, it's just hard to not understand it, but it's hard to forgive certain actions because it is true. I've been trying to understand Johnny, my father, the guy, not the father, the guy. I he loves his women until today. He's a charming guy. He's a gentleman. He's a hardworking man. You know, he was always a good student. He was always the academic, not a sporty one. Always the academic one. Um, I would say he had a thirst for knowledge. You know, always reading, always learning about new things. Um, he's very well prepared academically. You know, he has a master's, a PhD, a doctorate as well. You know, he had a great, fulfilling life as a professional. Fucking great. That is something I can respect from my father. professional. He was a great professional, great career, and that is something I can take from him and put it there as a maybe a guide, like my North Star type of thing,
Yeah.
right? But that involved because of his childhood traumas and all his life or whatever. He's an anxious man. He's a traumatic man. He's a depressed man. I think he's bipolar. But along those lines, he needs help in terms of he needs the therapy, he needs the medication, he needs that balance. But he's in denial of all that. Today, you see this man doing the same mistakes over and over and over again, going through relationship after relationship after relationship, every single relationship being broken up over the same common. They all have a common denominator. They all break up for one reason. It's my father and everything. The same mistakes of handling his finances. It's always this pattern that he has. And if I analyze it, he had those patterns way before. As a kid, he had the same. I remember he would be complaining over the same things, you know. And when I was in speaking terms with him, and I try to talk to him, I was like, Dad, like think about this and that, these things happen because of this. Try to think about this of different ways. Try to talk to someone, like this. I don't think that is okay. He will get defensive. And being defensive is a common reaction to people that are in like that are like have addiction, that are trauma, depressed, and all that. You get defensive from the get go. If somebody tells, "Hey man, you're doing something wrong," no, you don't. No, you're doing something wrong. They always like try to point the finger back at you. So at some point, I was like, fine, because he was like all the time, you know what? Don't get involved in my life. You don't know what. Blah, blah, blah. Fine. But that doesn't mean that was the reason I stopped my relationship with him. It's because of something else a lot bigger. But when you have this parent who's doing the same mistakes over and over, and it's complete denial, and that's is not seeking for that growth, internal healing. He's not seeking for anything to become better, to become a better person, better parent. It's hard to say, man. Like you know what? I'll forgive you.
The thing is that he's not allowing himself either to heal, or at the same time he doesn't know better because his parents were the same. So the only thing that he's doing is repeating what he saw, because he's not in touch with another way or understanding. Even if he's, as you're saying, if he has a PhD or a master's or whatever, he is not putting the right thoughts on what he should be doing and how he's capable of changing things, because he doesn't want to. Basically, that's it. I had a friend that recently died because of alcohol, and he was one of my best friends. He was extremely successful. He was great, but he got into gambling and into alcohol. And at the end of the day, he lost his family. He lost everything that he built. And he was, of course, taking that sweet sensations and beautiful things that alcohol can give, right? So the sad thing is that I presented to him during several months all the options I could. I helped him watch the videos that I shared with you, just showing that there are
Remember,
better ways of actually understanding how you should be doing things in order to not only get better or become the best version of yourself, if you can put it that way, but trying to make him understand that he was losing more than winning. And I actually used a really interesting, how do you say this? This example that I placed to him, I said, okay, you're someone that likes to gamble, and that is always placing the bet and trying to improve his odds. So why you're not betting on you? Why are you actually losing?
Nice one.
Yes, and he cracked and he said, okay, I can't believe that you used me as an example for making myself understanding that I can do better things. He started to getting better, and of course, as you know, in any addiction, you go up and down, and one of
Yeah.
the downs got him killed. He had an aneurysm, a vein exploded in his head, and he died in his sleep. But the crazy thing is that he was about to make the commitment to change everything. And I think that that was the only thing that he needed in order to let everything go. And it was so sad, man. It was so sad.
You without words, man. First of all, I am my condolences. You know, he was your friend, and I am so sorry.
No, it's
It's a
okay, man.
it's
It's
a,
a,
it's so unfortunate when these things happen, man. Especially a man who just discovered his self worth, or is in the started the journey to discovering his self worth.
yeah,
You
yeah, and
know,
it was so crazy because we tend as humans to have that denial state, right?
yeah.
I had to get his family together into a type of um, how do you say this? Um, well, it was a reunion where we had his mother, uncles, and everything that every person that was actually close to him. And I said, okay, I'm trying to do my best here, but nobody actually is opening their eyes to understand that he's killing himself and that he will die. If we're not doing something, we will lose him. And at the end, yes, we lost. I say we, and I also in some way, and I remember when it was the funeral that his mother came to me and she said, "Why you left him? Why you weren't supportive?" And I was actually the one that was fighting with him through the addiction for months and months. And when she threw that at me, I was strong enough for not taking that personal, just because I understood that it was from pain, from anger,
Mm.
and it was not something that she was actually quite thinking well, right? The next day she came to me and she said, I'm so sorry. That wasn't something that I should have said to you. It wasn't your responsibility. And in that process, in those months that I was with him, I remember watching this movie, Beautiful Boy, with Steve Carell,
Hmm.
that is actually about a heroin addict. And it's quite complex because it presents to you the situation where actually you're not the cause, you're not the solution, and it's not your responsibility. Even if it's your kid that is having an addiction problem, it's their choice at the end of the day. Even if you have a biological need of having the substance or having either alcohol, drugs, whatever, you can get treated. There are ways if you want to.
If you want.
If you don't want to get out of that place, as you're saying, as your father, that won't happen. But at
Yeah, you
least, yeah, at least understanding that there are people caring, even if they don't care. If you do care, that's what the world needs.
you are Such an amazing person, man. Like what you did for your friend. Nobody does that. Well, I cannot say nobody, but not anybody does that. Requires a lot of also bravery, if that's correctly said. It's crazy. Like this thing with the mother told you brought me back when I was in Honduras and I started my street life, you might say.
Yeah.
You know, I was initiated in this notorious gang who's kind of worldly known, MS-13. You know, I
Yeah.
was 13 years old. When I was 14, I had my best friend at that time, Anthony. He was in the gang with me. Because we were in that gang, we thought we were invincible, right? We were kids, stupid kids with an even stupider crowd around us. And trust me, we were not doing kid stuff, right?
Yeah. Of course.
So thinking, having that mentality that we were like touchable, we started to create some problems, some trouble, like start to look for trouble, you know, in the wrong places, rival gangs. Until one night it backfired. I remember they apprehended us. They took us. They put us in a car. They beat the shit out of us. Took us in a house against the wall, and they pointed a gun at us. You know, and the guy who was holding the gun asked me, "Who dies? You or him?" That was hard, man. You know. So
I
you
know.
know the result of that because I'm alive, right? So it took me a long time to. It still hurts, of course, but to recover over that guilt. And that only ignited it because his mother told me also, out of anger and sadness and grief and everything that she was going through, that it was my fault, right? It was a hard thing. It took me so long to let go of that guilt. It's hard, man. Those situations in life like that is some people don't recover from that. I don't think I have, to be honest.
You know. Yeah.
Still gets to me. I
It's something that there is this saying: a wound won't heal if you keep touching it, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, if you're not taking the right care of that wound, it will never go away. Scars are actually there for a reason, for our minds to understand that we can be dumb, that we can do stupid stuff, stupid shit. And at the same time, that we are so fragile that even if we are kids and we feel invincible, as you were saying, and I felt the same thing, that I remember myself shooting guns, playing with knives, thinking that I'm something like vigilante type of guy and capable of doing whatever. And then again, the other situations, right, where you get beat up, you have like 20 people kicking you in the ground, when at the next day your ears are Coca-Cola color because you got so many kicks with boots in your face. And yeah, those scars are there for me to remind me every day, first, that I was so freaking lucky of not dying, and at the same
yes, you
time
were.
that I was so stupid. And if you don't have learning from those experiences, then yes, you're stupid.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, I agree, man. Funny that you mentioned about the ears, and you don't have that cauliflower ear like the fighters do. Because
And
when
I
you
don't.
get
Yeah.
that much trauma to that, man. Like I remember one time I took a hit. I don't remember how I was drunk, but my ear the next day was like you said, Coca-Cola color, but it was big. And if I would touch it, it would hurt so much, and that created a little bump. You don't have any of that, man.
No, I'm so lucky that I don't have that. I do have, yes, a few scars. I have like 16 stitches here. I do have a few
Oof.
here as well. But one of the craziest things is that do you remember that Super Nintendo game, Donkey Kong Country?
Yeah, of course.
I got so many kicks in my face that my eyebrows were like 2 fingers away from my face, and I looked like an ape because of all of the swallowing in my face, man. It was so crazy. But yes, I could have died. And I
Man.
remember that I had this uh, card reading thing um, a few months back because I do tend to be mystical as well. I can be really a lone wolf in sales, as you're saying, and being so mental and professional and everything. But I do have some respect for what the universe can bring to your life. And I was participating in this. And she said, "What type of questions do you have for me and for the cards that I'm reading right now?" And I said, "Why I'm still here?"
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah. And the only thing that she was able to say, because of course, you know that there are several multiple ways of doing the interpretation and when you're doing card reading, palm reading, and things like that. Because I went into a lot of things, astral
Mhm.
projection and everything, because I wanted to find my spiritual being at the same time, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So doing that, and of course that leads for you to understanding emotions, for doing negotiations, for understanding and reading people. And there are multiple things that you can apply those type of readings and knowledge, right? But when I asked that question, she said the most common and simple answer ever, but that made a lot of sense. That was, your purpose in life is to be happy and to make people around you happy. And I think that that's it. That's what we should be doing every single day.
Yes. Be happy, man. And like for example, now I recognize what makes me happy. I'm strong enough to see in in clarity what makes me happy. Like it might sound cheesy, but definitely my family makes me fucking happy. My boys, bro, my boys are my world. My universe, they make me happy. Even when they do stupid things, like they make me happy. And I am right now. I am well, not now. Like I've been for quite a while grateful for everything that it has come to my life, even the hardships, because like you were saying before, those hardships has made me what I am today. For me, maybe to the eyes of family or our society or other like the most common society, I am not successful. But you know what makes me successful in my mind? That I'm still with my wife and we're happily married 12 years. My boys have their dad. I am present and we have a good time. There are no fights. We have a non-toxic home. We talk to each other. We are one unit. And if I compare to the achievements of my parents, that surpasses by thousands of miles what I have achieved today. I'm trying to like well, we are trying, you and I with James as well, to lift this project up with JockPharm. We're very close, you know, uh, and if we will be successful in the business world, But for me, that's just going to be a plus, an addition. This is my world, my baby boys and my future baby girl, my wife that I love so much. I have been so fortunate and blessed that she's in my life. And we have to give her credit, man. Like to stick around a guy with like me, goddamn, you know. If there will be a Hall of Fame for wives, she will be there. I always say that, you know. That makes me happy today. This conversation that I'm having right now with a friend, not a colleague, with a friend, that makes those little things that I used to take for granted. For me, today they are fulfilling.
And I know where you're coming from, man. And actually, we are so blessed just because we are capable of waking up each day. We're going through a pandemic. We saw so many people dying, close friends, relatives, and that also puts your mind into a situation where you need to understand that yes, the purpose here is to be happy, to make people happy, to help, to be there for each other, not only as colleagues, as friends. And I think that's what life's about. You will be happy whenever you see your kids smiling,
Yeah,
whenever you feel warmth in your bed because you have your wife, because you have a baby that will crawl into your bed at 2 a.m. in the morning just because she wants to feel you around. So those things shouldn't be taken for granted. And we usually do. We are so stupid as human beings that we
mm,
take those things and we don't put actually the weight on what should be considered and what should be seen every single day. And that's, as you were saying, family, friends, forgiveness, loving, caring. Those things work. Actually, they work.
they do, they do, they do.
They do.
Yeah,
We have media and social media throwing shit at us, saying that yes, you need to get followers and you will be successful and you will do this and you will do that. The only thing that you need to do is do things with love. That's it.
exactly,
Put your heart into it and it will go the
exactly.
right way. McGregor
Yes.
said it, man. It's like his last fight, and now that he's preparing for the fight against I forgot his
Poirier,
name.
Poirier, Dustin
Yes,
Poirier.
Poirier
Yeah,
again. They're going to have the rematch, and he's just coming again from that state of mind, saying that no matter what happens in that fight, even I do want to win it, I will just put my heart into it. Then that's beautiful, man. That's
that
crazy.
is beautiful. That's why that guy is so successful. Yes, I have to admit that part of his success is his trash talk and all that. He's a notorious personality, but he's a talented person. He's a very talented with a strong mind. He always has said, as much as he trash talks, he always has said, "I am humble in defeat and in victory." Yeah, because he puts his heart on the hard work that matters, and then if after that the outcome is defeat and victory, it's good. But he has put his heart there, and also recognizing, okay, maybe I can do better, and if I can do better, what can I do to be better? And he always goes there. He's an anomaly of an athlete.
And if you are able to understand that of course you're not losing, even if you lose the fight, you will win either experience or you will learn from your mistakes and you will do better next time. That's what drives things to work for you.
Correct.
So everything comes positive. And then again, you're not forcing yourself to be positive. You're just putting whatever you need to do with your heart, with your mind, and everything synchronized so things work. And again,
Yeah.
it's the freaking energy. If you go to a meeting and you need to close a deal and you're like yes, I'm going to help you and we will make
Yeah.
profit. Oh my God, they're not going to buy anything from you, right? But if you come from the humble perspective saying that we are here to help, we will make mistakes, it's going to be a journey, but we are here for you and we will provide what you need in order for you to be successful and your success will become our success. I think that's where you build trust, you build confidence, and then, of course, you win deals,
Yeah.
right?
Agree, man. Yeah, definitely, bro. 100%. It's just it sounds, even though it's hard work, but it sounds so simple, and it can be simple, right? It can be simple if you want to.
It can be simple if you want to. That's true. That's so true.
Mm.
Look at me. I don't have any type of experience or background in software, and I have been doing software selling for 10 years already.
You like I use the word anomaly for McGregor. You're another anomaly, man, in the professional world, in the business world, man. It's like you have managed to create a system for yourself, for Charlie, that works. You know, you have managed to create your own machine that is kind of like self-working right now. And I still remember, oh my God, the haters, right? I'm sorry, I gotta mention fucking Meg. Meg, what a hater, man!
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was like, look at Charlie, look, like he's not doing anything. And I was like, yeah, but look at the board. Like, he's number one. And since I've been here, he's still number one. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and again, it's something that you mentioned earlier in our conversation that whenever you're not understanding things, you tend to be aggressive. So, yeah, that's becoming a hater, right? It's like, why him? Why if he's not putting the effort? You don't know me. You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know the type um, of due diligence that I was making before every call, before every interaction with a potential client, just to win their trust. And that's something that, again, I'm so grateful, as you're saying, of my experiences, of having a beautiful, understanding wife that has been putting a lot of shit because of me, because I was taking things on a different level and not really understanding that I have everything I need in my life, not only for becoming successful, because eventually, yes, I will, but at the same time, just understanding that I have support from my family. They do understand. They see me struggle. They see me working. And at the same time, I try not to be absent for them. But sometimes, yes, you get stuck. You get your mind so deep into controlling things for the professional life and for the professional Charlie that you tend to put things aside, but you need to find your balance, as you were saying, your yin and yang, right? And
Yeah.
she has been there for me. And Susie, whenever you hear this, I freaking love you. Thank you so much.
You gotta tell her right like now when you go, man. Just give her a big hug, a fucking big kiss, and tell her that, bro. She deserves it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Man,
No,
she's
she
she's a,
has
she's a
been
great
great,
woman,
man.
man. And, yeah, she's your queen, and she's so beautiful. She's behind you 100%. And those, like what you do, the struggle or things like to those people, yeah, they matter for them to know. For them, that mattered. That mattered. But for a person like Meg Elliott, Maggie, she hates that. And Maggie, the fuck she cares what you do, bro? Not that's the thing. Numbers don't fucking lie. Numbers don't lie. All right? And
That's true,
your
man.
numbers speak for themselves until today, until this day. And we're talking about what, like 4 years ago?
Yeah, kind of, right?
Kind of like 4 years ago. And not only that, even before that, you were still number one in the board. You know, it's kind of like you're in the McGregor in your own fucking field right now, in like in the BPM world. You know, and then,
Uh-huh.
like even myself, like I was sorry, like but just to finish, like even myself, I was curious enough, like what was your system? But if you think about it, we were close in the office and outside the office, but I never asked you, dude. The only curiosity I had in my mind that until today I don't fucking understand is like how the fuck you can eat all that food and not gain weight. I that was like because that was something I would see you eating fucking hour, and but not like people might think, okay, he has a sad. Nah, me like pique macho. Sometimes you bring soup, like strong plates. Like God, that was my curiosity, bro.
Yeah, the lasagna at 9 a.m. in the morning, yeah, for breakfast. It was awesome.
But I was never curious on how you were making. Well, of course, I was curious, but in a good way, how you were achieving those numbers. I was more happy for you, you know. And this bitch, she was just a hater, man.
Dude, haters gotta hate, right? But at the same time, and I'm just becoming humble about this. I'm today my numbers. I'm number three. We have JC leading the board, and Sergio is in second place, and I just got the third place today because I closed an upsell with an existing account.
JC, Juan Carlos.
Yeah, JC has now turned to the sales team, and because of his technical background and doing some work with him, he's now a salesperson, man, and he's doing an amazing job. He has in his numbers probably 240,000 K already closed by this time of the year,
Wow, JC,
and
nice.
yeah, and we're expecting him to close probably half a million by the end of the year or maybe more. So we are aiming to that, and yes, it has been a journey for him, and he understood a lot of the things that I'm doing. I took him over my wing for a few months, and now he's just taking off, and then it's awesome. It's great, man. And that's because you believe
He's a
in your
smart guy.
fucking self. He's a smart guy, and he believes in
Is
himself.
Yeah, he knows his
That's
worth
awesome.
because that guy very well prepared. You know, like, he's a little bit of an introvert. He's a shy guy, but he's very knowledgeable and of everything he does, and what he does it with how do you go like security behind it. You know, he knows what is it. Confidence. He has confidence. That's good. He has confidence. That's the word I'm looking. He has confidence, and now it's translating to his sales, man. Like because when I was working there, he was what like a sales engineer type of thing. You know, like the
Yeah, he was working in pre-sales. Yeah.
yeah. And now with the knowledge he has and mixing it with the sales tactics, like his I guess he's being successful. That's so cool, man. You know,
Yeah,
please send him my best. You know, like does he remember? I don't think because we never actually talked that much with him, but he was a nice guy.
no, he does remember you, and of course, one of the good things that happened to him was going to our headquarters in North Carolina and seeing that the world is something else, right? It's not
Yeah.
Bolivia. It's not sitting behind the desk. It's just actually dealing with all these people, and we are so lucky now that you can do and you can meet anybody at any time. So he's just taking the advantage of that, and he's using what he has in his reach to make himself successful, and he has been doing a great job, and I'm so proud of him.
Cool, man. I'm pretty sure, like, not to hate on this. I apologize in advance to him, but like the people that listen, I'm pretty sure the image they have of JC being number one in the sales board is not what he actually looks like. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's completely true,
Like,
and it's so funny that you remember him as an introvert. Now he's really an outgoing person.
really? Oh man, that's
Yes,
awesome.
yes, he built so much confidence, And again, that comes from believing in yourself and putting the thought in your mind that you're going to do it and that you will follow each step because you have to follow the baby steps in order for you to run. So he did
Yeah,
everything that he could, and now he's making it.
that's so amazing, man. Like I always like the sales team and process maker, bro. Like I wanted to be a part of the sales team, you know.
I know, and I
Well,
was trying to.
I would, yeah, I would get along more with you guys if you think about it than my own team.
You were hanging with us, man, because we were the cool guys.
But yeah, like it was like I would never. Well, at the beginning, I would hang out with Bruce because he was from my team and I was just new. But then, like, I would like get along a lot more with like you, Sergio, Alex, James, of course, and every like Armando was in the sales team. Great fucking guy, you know. Like, and now
Yeah,
he's in customer success, right?
yeah, he's working in customer success. Yes.
Is he still stylish and everything? I remember he has a nice style. He had a nice style.
Yeah, he keeps his outfits. Now he has been jogging a lot and he's running. So yeah, I think the other day he made like 12 kilometers or something. So yeah, that's good. He's trying to keep himself healthy, and of course he needs to be in a really good mental state working with JP, right?
Oh fuck. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Oh my god, yeah, I appreciate because like JP doesn't when it comes to like screaming at you, he doesn't play favorites. He screams at you. You know?
yeah. Hmm. But one of the things that I thought you at the same time is that you need to understand where he's coming from, and that's a process that takes a lot to not only to dig in and also to look for what the intentions are actually behind the words, right? So yeah, it happens. He yells. That's it.
Yeah, like even though I mentioned that like for me, obviously, I don't say it was traumatic, but it was the first experience in the workplace. Caught me completely off guard. Mentally, I was not there as well. But I don't have animosity towards JP, man. Like I learned a lot from him actually, and he genuinely in many occasions had my back. You know, like with Brian and that was his name, the CEO, Brian, right?
Right.
Brian
Yeah.
and there's some fuck ups that what's the what was that Freddie would make. You know, like he would really have my back. You know, like he and sometimes he would talk to me. You know, and I told it's not that I'm in touch with him. When I first came here, I did send him a couple of mail. I sent him a message for Christmas at that time, and I thought, yeah, man, like I have learned a lot from you. You know, which I did. I did learn a lot from him, and the stuff that I learned a lot from him, I'm putting it into use today, and that is helping me execute many things with the startup that we have right now.
I know. I know. And once again, if everything comes from a learning perspective, then it works. It works because we're using those experiences in order to build something. And what we're building today, it's going to help people. And I think that that's the best outcome that you have, either with a product or a service.
Yeah, like and like if I were to see JP, let's say tomorrow, I will give him a big hug. Probably like tell him let's go spar a little bit, but I'll give him a big hug. But if I were to see, let's say Meg, Bruce, or Fabiola, hey, fuck you, bah.
Yeah, no, come on, don't be a hater, man.
That's
Yeah,
not hating, man.
you're better than that, man. I know you. I
But
know you, and
I
I.
would say I would say people with my sincere love, fuck you, like that. Better.
No, man. I send them all blessings, and I hope they're coping well with life and with everything that is happening in this world. I hope that they don't have any family members affected by COVID or things like that because that can be tough. And yeah, I wish them the best, man, because you need if you have haters, they're doing the right thing.
Hey man, I wish I would have. Why didn't you tell me that when I was in process maker, man? I would have like.
I think I did.
I remember every conversation we had. Come on, like this self help or self awareness journey of all this mindfulness and wellness. It started with you with those videos of that Spanish guy. What was his name? Let's give a shout out to him. What was his name? Tony,
It's
was it?
well, one was Tony Robbins, and the other one is Diego Dreyfus. I don't know if I shared
Diego
that with
Drake.
you.
Well, Tony Robbins International. No, he's not Spanish, dude. And Diego
Yeah,
Dreyfus, yeah, definitely. He was like the videos of him we used to watch together late at night in the office when we would work.
that's true, man. No, and Dreyfus is yeah, he's something else, man. He got himself to this position and this state of being not only a motivational speaker but also changing lives, changing soccer teams because he was working with the Mexican soccer team with Chicharito Hernandez and other things. And the things that he has and that he presents as a message um, are so amazing, basically because he doesn't have those masks, right? We tend to make things softer in some way for not hurting feelings. Fuck it. You need to face reality, and you need to understand that yes, sometimes you will get beaten up, you will face your worst fears, but if you are able to stand up again before the referee is counting to 10, if you can do it for Mikey, as they say, if you get up and then you go again and you throw your best shot and then you win the fight, then of course, yes, you should take the glory.
That matters, of course. Like, no, don't stop. Keep on
Don't
going and
stop.
moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Don't stop, man. Like, it's just like applying that. Obviously, that applies to life in such a big way. But let's say to the MMA world, like with the recent event, Nate Diaz is not a champion. He has never been a champion, but he is literally the most popular MMA fighter in the world, at least right now. And one of the things that he's popular about is his ferociousness and relentless of always moving forward. That dude has never been knocked down, if I'm not mistaken. And he always keeps moving forward. He gets the hits, he gets the cuts, he gets the injury, but he's like a fucking zombie, man. He's like and goes there. And in this last fight that he had, he was dominated for 5 rounds. He never stopped, and he almost knocked out the guy in the last 30 seconds of the fifth round. It was amazing, amazing. One of those moments that you scream, and I almost threw my computer away. Ah! I was so excited.
I know, man, and that's something that I actually teach to my kids. First, I say that yes, Cervantes, we don't quit. And second of all, is that it doesn't matter how many times you get beaten or you fall down. It matters how many times you get up.
And with that said, brother, cut this off. And the reason why is because the beautiful heat of Finland is heating up this room. I'm sweating my balls off, brother. I want to enjoy this heat because, like I was calculating the other day with my wife, we only gave this heat or like 30 degrees 9 days out of 365 days of the year.
And you want me to go there? Fuck you, man.
You gotta come here, man. Fuck that. Like you come
Yeah, yeah.
here.
I'm coming. I'm coming. Don't worry.
Yeah, man. But with yeah, man, I'm sweating, yeah, and I'm wearing black and oh shit, I need to get out. But brother, again, man, we had a very beautiful conversation. Like what, 2 hours we hit. Nice. I love you. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Perfect, man. And again, I really appreciate this. I feel blessed because of having this opportunity of not only talking things and talking shit like we do, but at the same
Mhm.
time that if somebody gets a really good message out of what we are discussing, and somebody needed to hear what we were saying, I'm happy for you. And yeah, go there and take what's yours.
100%. Beautiful message, my friend. You have a good night. Big hug to your wife. Kisses for the girls. Okay. And again, we talk on Tuesday.
Great, man. Send my love to your family, and yes, let's connect next week.
All right, man. Take care, man. Bye
Cheers,
bye.
bro. Bye bye.